Why squatting and deadlifting can be so harmful to the disc. It's real common that people, when they're squatting and deadlifting, they aggravate the disc. And the question is why? So when you're squatting, what happens as you go down, you get to a point where you flex just a little bit. And that flexion tends to overload the disc. And the disc, when it's overloaded, has a tendency to start to break down. So it's not uncommon that you can do a lot of squats, have no problem, and one day you have a big problem. Now, annulus of the disc is the outer portion. So the disc is like a jelly donut. The outer portion of the disc, there's a thick material called the annulus, and inside the disc there's a jelly called the nucleus. And very often when you squat, it'll start to push the nucleus in one direction. Because when you squat down and you flex a little bit at the bottom of the squat, so you're squatting down and then at the bottom you do this. And that flexion, just enough at the bottom, tends to cause the nucleus to push one direction. So as you're squeezing the flexing at the bottom, it's pushing the nucleus into one direction. And as you push that nucleus in one direction, it starts to cause a little bit of a breakdown of the outer portion of the disc. So as the nucleus continues to push in one direction, you'll start to get little micro tears in the annulus. And over time, those micro tears will get a little bit weaker. And then eventually what happens, one day you feel good, the next day you're like, I can't get out of bed. What happens is all those little micro tears cause the nucleus to push out, and then you get either a bulging disc or a herniated disc. It's the nucleus pushing through, because at the bottom of the squat, you're fully loaded, a lot of pressure on the back, a lot of pressure on the spine, and then you flex a little bit, it forces the nucleus this direction. And what can happen, so we're flexing this way, what can happen is you can get that nucleus to push out just like that. That's why very often people squatting and deadlifting have a lot of disc problems, because when they get to the bottom, they flex just a little bit. And it's that flexion that overloads the disc. So the key is either don't go to the point where you flex. The key is to avoid the flexion. So don't go as low, but try to get more mobility so you can get lower without the flexion. That's the key. You can get better. Even if you've had a herniated disc from squatting, you can get better and squat again and not have any pain. If you have any questions, you can click the link in the bio and we'll talk about it.